Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we're taking a look at the Colbor CL100 to see if it's better than the Aputure 100X. So let's jump right into it. This will cost you $299, which is $50 cheaper than the Aputure, and let's see what comes inside the box. The Colbor comes with a fantastic case, which is very, very hard and has hooks on the side for the nylon strap that it comes with. And when you look inside, this thing has a lot of padding for your dish and an insert so you can put your light on top and padding on top as well. It comes with the light itself with a protective cap, one reflector, one extension cord, and one power brick, a remote control, and a very detailed instruction book. Now let's take a look at the body. This light is astonishingly well built. Now first off, the body is a blend of high-grade ABS plastic and metal. The yoke is so much better than the Aputure 100X. It is, first off, all metal with a little bit of plastic here, but there are notches and grooves, but once you loosen this thing up, it's gonna be very, very easy to position this into any position that you want. It just feels like a much stronger, better designed yoke than the Aputure 100X. The knobs, although made of plastic, are a really good quality plastic and do not feel cheap at all. And the umbrella holder does have a metal knob that you will probably need a screwdriver for. And speaking of knobs, the rear knob is very, very good. Even though it's plastic, it feels pretty robust. The buttons on the back are these kind of cheap clicky buttons, but they do feel pretty solid. They don't feel mushy at all and have a nice click to them. And of course you get the 3-pin locking pin right here, which is fantastic as well. Now just to note, you do get a locking pin here, and it is 3-prong, so you will get a 3-prong power cord adapter. So just know if you're gonna get something a little bit longer than this, you have to make sure that it has 3 and not 2. Okay, so here we are with the Colbor CL100, and let's take a look at the features. Turns on very nicely. Now let's take a look at the screen. As you can see, the screen is not very good. It does disappear very quickly and is hard to read. And pressing the button in, you have control of your CCT mode, and it goes from 6500 Kelvin in integers of 5 all the way down to 2700 Kelvin. Now the next button over is your turbo and special effects mode, and let's go ahead and long press the button. And as you can see, there is a very slight boost in power, and the fan ramps up very loudly. Now, quick pressing that button and you will get special effects. You'll get candle, bonfire, breathing, faulty bulb, flash, and lightning. By pressing in the center button, not only will you get control of the CCT, but press it again, and there are a few multiple rate options here as well. The next button over is the group button, and by pressing that, you'll be able to go from group A to group E. And finally, you have the fan mode here. Now, take a listen. This is the light in smart mode. This has been running for about 20 minutes. Take a listen. I'm about 3 feet away. And now, this is what it sounds like when you go into smart mode by pressing the fan button. You go from smart mode to quiet, and you will hear the fan ramp up significantly, but not as bad as when you are in turbo mode. Again, from 3 feet away. And pressing the button again, and you are back in smart mode. So here's the light with the dish on at 100%, and here it is without the dish on at 100%. Okay, so let's talk about the remote control for a moment. Now it is very, very cheap plastic. I would be afraid to drop this, it may crack. It does run on 2 AAAs, which are not included, which is very interesting. And the buttons feel okay. Now, this does not come paired right off the bat. You have to pair this. Pairing it is very easy. Just unplug it, plug it back in and lock it in, like so. And you want to hold down the EFF button while you hold the power button. And as you can see, holding down the EFF button, it will flash for a few minutes. We turn it on, and there we go, it is working. So on the remote, and let me point this to the back here, on the remote you do have a power button. You do have the 60-second button, in which case the fan will ramp up and it'll give you a little bit more power. Although I don't really notice a heck of a lot more power. You do have a CCT mode here. In the center, you do have a kind of like it'll shut off the light, but it won't shut off the fixture. It's kind of a sleep mode here. Pushing up and down is your brightness. Left and right is your color temperature. Then you have this rate button, which I don't think really does anything. You do also get a 3200 Kelvin and a 6500 Kelvin so that you can get to what you want very quickly, which I do like. I really wish that this 6500 Kelvin, though, was 5600 Kelvin, because who wants to shoot all the way up to 6500 Kelvin? But there you go. This CCT button will flip between the brightness and the color temperature. I don't know why that's a button, but it is. And the EFF button is what you use to sync the whole thing with. So the Colbor CL100 is a very interesting first-time product from a brand new company. I really think that it trumps the Aputure 100X's build quality, which I think is not very good. This, on the other hand, is fantastic. Now, let's talk about some of the things I really like about this light. First off, like I said, the build quality. The ABS plastic is rock solid. You do get an exposed heatsink, which does keep this thing cool, and it's huge. The buttons on the back are very clicky and responsive. They do not feel mushy, and you get a very nice clicking, turning dial, and it presses in very nicely. There are no real problems with the knobs themselves. You get a all-metal yoke down here, which is fantastic, and the locking knobs do not feel cheap. They are significant plastic. Now, one place I think this could be better is you do get an umbrella holder, which I like, but this part is kind of cheap plastic. I really wish the whole thing were metal. That would have been a little bit better. And the Bowens mount is fine. Now, note, do not put heavy modifiers on this like I did. You'll want to keep it around 25 inches or less. And also, one thing I didn't catch on camera that has been said by other interviewers is the fact that the mount is a little sticky, so it's a little hard to get it to click in and mount, and a little hard to get it off your softbox once you put it on. So just know that might be a problem for you. But if you keep the modifiers small, you should have no problem. Now, I really wish they had put a piece of glass over the COB so I could use this thing outside. What tends to happen is a bug will fly in and get burnt onto the COB if it's hot, and then your light is ruined. So I really wish that they had put that on. Hopefully in the next model they'll do that. I do love the classic dish and the fact that I can take my Aputure dish and throw it on. It works great. Now let's talk about the screen back here. It's awful. I really wish they had put on a better screen. I had this thing up high. I was looking at it and I couldn't see what my setting was, and there is no screen on the remote. So a better screen next time would be fantastic. Now let's talk about the remote for a second here. Now the remote is pretty good and it is growing on me. Now you do have to pair it, but it is very easy to pair. So that's no problem. I don't know what the rate button does still. And it's interesting because they gave us a 3200 Kelvin button here, which is a popular setting, but then they gave us a 6500 Kelvin button. I really wish it was a 5600 Kelvin button because, again, that's one of the most popular settings. So a little odd that they chose to do 65 instead of 55. Now let's talk about the features of this light. Now first off, the turbo mode. I personally do not understand a turbo mode, why that is a feature. To have a little bit of extra power for 60 seconds makes no sense. I don't know what you would use that for. Don't know why that's a feature. With that being said, when you put this into turbo mode, I can't see any difference. I can't see any kind of rise in power. I just hear a very loud fan. So the turbo mode is pretty non-existent in this light. Next, let's talk about the special effects. They are the worst special effects I have ever seen in this studio. They are just blinking, incoherent. They don't look like anything. They are awful. And yes, you can control the color temperature. You can control the rate, but that really doesn't do anything. And with no USB or phone app connectivity, what you see is what you get. So if you are looking for a special effects light, this is not it. Moving on to the next button here, and that is a group button. Now, this thing, again, No connectivity whatsoever. No Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi, no magical GVM master slave mode, no USB. You cannot link these together. So why it has a button, a mode, let alone a button for that mode, is absolutely baffling. It does nothing. I really wish they would have put the turbo or the special effects over here. That would have made sense. I just want to pause the review right here to let you know that I have been saying that there is no way to update the firmware or control the groups mode. Well, upon further investigation, I found that Colbor is actually working on a phone app, and when the app comes out, they will no longer bundle it with the remote control. So if you want the remote control, I definitely say buy it now and then wait for the phone app to come out. Now, with the phone app, you will be able to control the groups, you will be able to control the light, and you will be able to actually get firmware updates because apparently there is Bluetooth built into this thing. It is just not in the instructions. So I will do an update when that app comes out, but now back to the review. And finally, you do get the fan mode. I highly suggest keeping this in smart mode. That is the quietest mode. After about 25 minutes, it does start to ramp up, but it is still very, very quiet, especially if you have it across the room with a modifier on, with a softbox on, you are really not gonna hear it. When you switch it to quiet mode, it does ramp up a bit and you may hear it. So that is something just to be cautious about. Now, who is this light for? If you are a YouTuber, if you have a studio and you're, like I said, getting this thing across the room behind a modifier, you should be fine. Keep it in smart mode. If you're doing product commercials or you're doing music videos or you're doing photography, this is a fantastic light. The quality of light from the bicolor mode that comes out of this is excellent. It is a very wide beam, keep that in mind, but it is very bright and very powerful for a 100-watt light. I am very, very, very impressed. If you're doing feature films, interviews, things that need a little bit more quiet, and you're going to be using a whole bunch of these, keep in mind the more fans you have, the louder it is. So I would kind of stray away from using it for narrative films or interviews unless it's way in the back and far away from your sound. But all in all, I am very, very impressed, and I do have to give props where props is due to Colbor. They have made a very nice budget light. I just wish it was just a bicolor light and it was about $50 cheaper. Then it would have been perfect. It just feels like they tried to cram a few more things in here that they weren't ready to put in here. But all in all, a good, solid budget light. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash the bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.